Reddit Ask Me Anything. Since 1983, I have lived, worked and raised a family in a progressive, egalitarian, income-sharing intentional community, or commune of 100 people in rural Virginia. Ask me anything. Where do the group's resources come from? How do you decide what you can spend money on? Presumably you've got access to technology allowing you to write this. Is there some sort of budgeting group or something? We have businesses that produce income. We produce commercial grade tofu, hammocks, and heritage and heirloom seed packaging, all on our 500 acres. We collectively decide on the annual budget, and then area managers are given a yearly budget. Yes, Wi-Fi in every building. There is a long budgeting process, and everyone who wants to can be involved. What about your personal budget though? How do you get money for your personal belongings, travel, etc.? He mentioned in the initial post that everyone receives personal funds from the commune, but he didn't mention how much. The website says $75 per month. Oof. Hello. What does the community do for sewage, drinking water, and trash? These details often seem to be missing from rural, off-the-grid groups. The state mandates that we have a sewage treatment plant. That the state mandates. We have a lot of very deep wells and really clean water, also tested by the state. We generate a lot less trash because of our ecological living. Much of our waste is reused or recycled. We take a once-a-week trip to the landfill to dump our trash. There are very nice Clive Smeltrum composting toilets available if people want to use them. Are you free to earn your own side income for yourself? How are disputes resolved? Can you have long or medium term visitors, egg family, who can use the facilities and be fed? When was the last time someone was ejected and why? Our egalitarian ethics means we want to keep everyone on the same economic level. So, essentially, no, you cannot earn outside income. There are exceptions like earning income off farm in your free time for vacations. How are disputes resolved? That's a tough one. We all live together and we have a lot of disputes, mainly informally, but we do have teams of mediators and facilitators to help people work through issues. Yes, if they are longer than just short term, they are expected to contribute to the community. A jealous ex-lover was ejected after they threatened another member's life. Have your adult children decided to stay in the community? Not OP, but I visited for 3 weeks. I met at least one person who grew up at Twin Oaks and was there as an adult member, but I think a lot of the kids go off to do other stuff, or join other communities. Also, kids have to apply to become members when they reach 18 like anyone else. They are not automatically in. Man, can you imagine being raised in the community and not being accepted to stay as an adult? The outside world would seem so harsh. No, you cannot earn outside income. That sounds like a massive red flag to me. It makes it extremely hard to leave the group if you can't have your own form of income. Plot twist, it's a cult. Your twist looks unsurprisingly like a straight line. Apparently they have next to no privacy either. Wouldn't be surprised if OP has somebody looking over their shoulder. The guy is clearly using this to recruit. This has probably been answered, but what's the community view on pets? If a new member wants to join but has a dog cat, are they asked to leave their pets behind? From Twin Oaks org link, pets. Visitors are not allowed to bring pets with them. Our pet policy allows a certain number of dogs and cats here, and the pets that we have are contingent on space being available in a compatible residence. Generally, new members do not bring their pets with them, but find someplace else for them to live. We do have a waiting list for cats and dogs, but there are rarely openings. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing. What happens when people are, long term, unable to put in their 42 hours a week due to an accident or illness? In the budgeting decision making progress, is there a lot of lobbying for votes? They have medical, sick, days, and when people get older their weekly hours get lowered if they want until their obligation is zero. What will happen if there are old people left but nobody else there to support them? Are the elderly also involved in SSETC? I think that's why they recruit and raise kids. Hey, that sounds like a pyramid scheme. What are the negative aspects to this sort of society in your own eyes? Living closely with people is hard. People are often accurate mirrors for our strengths. and also our weaknesses. It can be not fun to have one's weaknesses reflected back. Other people leave messes. It gets wearing after a while. One hard thing is relationship breakups. When you see the person you broke up with every day, and you see them be happy with someone else. Do you vote? Yes, we have swung some local elections. How did you decide that you should work 42 hours per week? Is it an old rule no one has addressed in a long time? Is it a practical number? We vote the number of hours up or down every year depending on how much money we want and how much we want to work. What is the demographic like? I often imagine these places to be 80% people over 50 and their late teen children. Are there many people aged say 25-40? Also as a kind of related point, do you get many young people joining or are most new residents people looking to take a form of retirement? Looks like they are restricting applicants to people under 54. Someone's gotta do the work for people who can't. You say people can leave at any time, but you're also not allowed to work on the side or gain personal income outside of the group's allowance. So if you are kicked out or decide to leave, how does someone fund their new life? Good question. It's a little challenging. Sometimes the community loans people money to get started. Does nobody at Twin Oaks work in IT or as a technical artist? Well, we have Wi-Fi and computers, so we have people working on IT internally. What do you, individually and collectively, do for fun? Honestly, the main thing people do is hang out with each other in small groups. We linger over meals because we enjoy each other's company. We are all responsible for creating our culture, and almost everyone creates some kind of social gathering. There are lots of quirky, interesting and unusual social events, like for instance sitting outside watching old junior high documentaries on the side of a building with a projector. There are often parties. Folks like board games here. People have D&D groups several times a week. Some people play Mario Kart, Smash Bros or watch movies. In the summer, people swim in the pond. In the winter, we hang out in the sauna. Year-round walks in the woods. Lots of folks do art and crafts. We also offer yoga and dance every week. Friday nights there is a free ride into the nearby city to go to concerts or bars. Sometimes we have large group excursions off farm to go hiking or something. New people have a hard time getting their work done because there is so much social distraction and things to do. I truly think if I could work my 40 hours a week, have my needs provided for, and then get to play D&D or war games and just hang out with people who are never going to be too far away to have a consistent schedule of meeting up, I'd be in heaven. So, Twin Oaks might work for you, I promise. You will not think that you are in heaven. Maybe better than other alternatives, but far from flawless. For instance, most spaces are not air conditioned in the winter, so it can get moldy. That is but one example. But thank you for your kind comment. How does the community provided healthcare work? Not OP, but they answered in another comment. Government funded Medicaid. If everyone is on Medicaid, that implies everyone is living below 138% of the federal poverty level. So presumably no one is paying any income tax. The community falls under a special tax code, the same one monasteries do, that everyone is collectively taxed, and the profit from the businesses is equally shared out to members and taxed. Does everyone date and marry within the community? Is there enough of an influx of new members where this isn't a problem, or shortage of potential mates? Dating and relationships is a big topic. An important thing to keep in mind is that no one is desperately lonely at Twin Oaks. Everyone at Twin Oaks has at least some friends. However, it is a small dating pool. There are other local communities that have social events, and people have friends and relationships with folks in those groups. There is a sizable community of 45ish nearby called Acorn that tends to have younger members. The hardest part of dating is not being unable to find a relationship at Twin Oaks, but amicably dealing with a breakup. Some people find dates on OkCupid and date people in Charlottesville or Richmond. What sort of financial contribution are you expected to make upon formally joining? 0. But you have to work. What if someone refuses to work? How do you determine what jobs people do? For instance, I want to cook food but my food sucks. Does someone tell me to do something else? Not OP, but he alluded to this elsewhere. Basically social stigma. It's why operations like this don't scale up in large numbers. In a small community, people notice if you're not pulling your weight. As the community grows, it becomes less obvious when people are slacking, but it also becomes less of a burden on the functional members. Please enlighten me. Why no onions or garlic? We took a survey about food restrictions, and some people identified that they don't want to eat onions and garlic. Do you vaccinate your children within the commune? Parents have a lot of choice over how they raise their kids. I believe that most of the parents vaccinate their kids. What is the process like if someone wants to leave the commune? You walk out. But according to your earlier answer, they were not allowed to keep any personal income, so they walk out completely empty-handed. You also said people are free to leave and travel. With what money? Does every family get a travel stipend? According to Wikipedia, some of the members note that it's very difficult to actually be able to leave the commune because of the personal income ban. Sounds fascinating, although many will wonder if this is a cult. Maybe a silly and uninformed question, but are you free to leave at any time? And how do you deal with community members who don't pull their weight or behave criminally? Yes, you can leave anytime. People of Twin Oaks like to travel, and do so. Everyone is expected to work 42 hours a week, except for elders. Twin Oaks obeys the laws. However, if someone has chronic behavior issues, the community has support groups and community feedbacks to help change their behavior. Members can be immediately expelled for any act of violence. Anyone been expelled yet? Acts of crime committed or even reported? I would think, depending on the community and how they want their images to be portrayed, that there is a risk of cover-ups as with any communities, but just asking. Thanks for the Ask Me Anything. Yes, people have been expelled. Twin Oaks doesn't like to bother the local law enforcement. However, the local sheriff speaks well of Twin Oaks and is welcome on the property anytime. How do you file pay taxes? It's kind of boring. Twin Oaks does pay taxes. Twin Oaks is a corporation. Every member is an equal owner. See, every law firm that has an unlimited partnership. So the IRS looks at our income as dividends distributed to the members, which they very much are not, so that the IRS has something that they can tax. Are you getting hours for this Ask Me Anything? Someone from East Wind did one of these recently. Are you all coordinating? Are there other social media sites you are showing yourself on? I am on vacation in Costa Rica, sitting on a porch doing this, so no labor credits. We are not coordinating with East Wind in regards to the Ask Me Anythings, but thanks for letting me know. I will go look at that. We have an Instagram and Facebook. Let's say that I want to join and have significant life savings. Does that mean that my money is now everyone's? Am I allowed to keep it? What if you find out I have a bank account that I never told you about? You keep all of your money. You are not allowed to use it while you live at Twin Oaks, except to pay down debts or maintain assets such as properties. So you're allowed to bring a computer, it says. If that one breaks or it's just time for an upgrade, could I buy a new one with my own money? Only from your stipend. The point is, everyone is on the same level. If you have money outside, it stays outside. I read somewhere that you have to get community permission to have a child. If this is true, why do they require this? Also, what if it happens by accident? We do have an upper limit on the number of children living in the community, so we are often not accepting new families joining. Twin Oaks requests that potential parents let the community know their plans for budgeting reasons. This can look like asking for permission. For your information, there are accidental pregnancies at Twin Oaks currently riding bicycles. If you get my drift, Twin Oaks pays for birth control, vasectomies and tubal ligations, but won't make any woman have an abortion who doesn't want one. I don't get his drift. Can someone explain me his drift? He means people have accidentally got pregnant in the commune without first asking permission. These babies were born and the kids are now old enough to ride bikes, so no forced abortions or kicking the family out. Has your community ever considered a third oak? How multicultural is the commune? That's a great question. We embrace diversity, and in spite of our efforts over the years, we still mainly present as pale. We have ongoing efforts to increase diversity. We try to celebrate all cultural traditions at Twin Oaks. We still mainly present as pale. Is this just your way of saying y'all are all white? It's just his way of saying they haven't yet figured out a way to talk black folks into working on a farm for free again. Present as pale. What does this even mean? LOL. Do we get to choose our race now? Is trans race a thing? Are we going to have to start introducing ourselves with preferred pronoun as well as preferred race? It's a bunch of white people because this is some real white people shit. Seriously, you know many black folks dumb enough to move into an isolated commune with a bunch of people talking about unschooling and egalitarianism and equal work? What do you like to do in your free time? He likes to recruit new cult members. Are there any non-vegetarian members of your community? Girl cows give milk. Boy cows turn into hamburger. We also have chickens. We also trade waste tofu with a pig farmer for pigs. Yes, is the answer. How accepting is the community to people with disabilities or chronic illness? What would they do for work? Are firearms allowed in the community? What is housing like? Is there any privacy? I've read this Ask Me Anything in its entirety, and so far, all I can see is that you will answer all of the questions that illustrate how good it is to live there, and refuse to answer any question that would illustrate how bad it is to live there. I understand that you are not obligated to answer every single question, but to me this entire Ask Me Anything sounds like a sales pitch. You know, the kind where the salesman talks about how much MPG the car gets, and the sleek aerodynamics of its chassis, but neglects to mention that it can explode if driven over 55 miles per hour. So my question is this a sales pitch? Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind strangers. Hey kids, dissatisfied with capitalism? Come work for us for free. And then when we let you leave, good luck starting from scratch. You refer to your commune as a farm. Why? Gotta call it something. Town seems pretentious. Village seems parochial. Compound seems scary. Campus seems dismissive. So it came down to farm or cult. For some reason we went with farm. Do you ever worry that you are forcing your children into this life? You mention you have raised 2 sons. Did they choose to stay or leave for the outside world? Every parent is making choices for their children. I wanted to give my children the best possible upbringing that I could, and I think I did that. People tell me both my boys are amazing. I concur. One stayed, one left. Would love to hear from the one that left. You're actually asking about the wrong one. The one that stayed is the odd one. Keenan would know better. But of all the kids that were raised at, to pretty much all of them have jetted off pretty quickly. It's not the Amish, they have options. Most go to college. Imagine you are a pretty standard American kid that has seen their fair share of TV. If given the choice, would you hang around your parents' house, eating homemade bean burgers, where your parents and their elderly friends sometimes boop around in the nude? Or would you go somewhere, anywhere else? Yes, that's the Ask Me Anything we're looking for. Do you all pay income taxes like normal, or do you go about it in a special way because of the income sharing? Twin Oaks pays income taxes. The IRS makes sure of that. Everything is owned by Twin Oaks Community, a corporation. All members are, essentially, unlimited partners, like a law firm. That is, no one person has their name on the title of the property or houses, or vehicles or anything. So the IRS looks at our collective yearly income as though it is distributed dividends to members, which I assure it is not, and so everyone files individual income taxes. We just all happen to earn exactly the same amount of money, according to the IRS. Is there a gym with weight training facilities? Yes. While I love the idea of your community, and it sounds very progressive, your comments about homeschooled UN school children worries me. Look, in perfect world homeschooling children should work fine. Unschooling in whatever stretch you mean also. But it's not a perfect world. Is there any sort of checks and balances on the schooling within the community? Visits from teachers from local schools. Standardized testings to bring them up against a national standard. Along with this, your comment about not spending much time in front of screens and no phones in public spaces is also concerning. Like it or not, being able to intuitively and easily interact with screen-based, symbol-led technology is an essential modern skill, and one that will not be going away anytime soon. My nephew spends more than a quarter of his lessons interacting with either a tablet or some sort of screen interface, and this will only continue once he moves into the real working world. Now, the worst case scenario here. which I will happily admit might not be your case, but entertain it for me. You're preparing your children to not be capable of living any sort of life except for one within a screen-limited, technology-limited commune. Even then, they could end up on the bottom rung of that commune system, working only as basic handymen with no transferable skills if they wanted to leave the commune. This is compounded by their lack of screen exposure. Their ability to intuitively use a tablet or computer rivals that of the elderly, which makes them a poor fit for any office environment. Finally, this lack of screen exposure also damages their ability to find a social fit in groups. The complex and layered interaction of things like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, all of these are learned skills which these children will be severely lacking. Now, while the jury is definitely still out on the benefit of social media long term, on a person-to-person scale, having no ability to even comprehend the nuances of various social platforms and how they work is the same as being an adult in the 2000s and not understanding the difference between a landline and a telephone. Thanks, and I hope I have not ruffled any feathers. No feathers ruffled. However, once I was done laughing, I reread your comment. So, 1. The academic standards of mainstream schools are disturbingly low. Homeschooled and unschooled kids have to take the same standardized tests that kids in school take in Virginia, and they do fine. The community puts lots of resources into raising the kids. The teacher to student ratio varies from 1 to 1, 3 adults to children. The kids get lots and lots of attention from a wide range of caring adults. I homeschooled my 2 boys through high school. The oldest was attending college classes at 15. My younger is now attending UVA. In a day, if a kid spends 3 hours in a pond and walking through the woods, and 2 hours on a tablet, that doesn't mean they can't work a tablet. How does your community handle exceptional people? What carrot does it offer to people who are potential innovators, especially those who would have to expend an extraordinary amount of time effort to do so, if extra capital isn't on the table? Besides relying on altruism or a nominal increase in SOL, does your community pay students to want to pursue higher education? Does it put a cap on education and when you have to enter the workforce? If it allows unlimited education, how does it handle people who keep going to school who the ROI for the community isn't favorable? If it does put a cap on education, how does it determine if a person should be allowed further opportunities? Does your community reward athletes or other entertainers? What happens to those unable to work the required amount? Honestly, I think that absolutely outstanding people thrive better in a more pure capitalist system. Twin Oaks is better suited to dilettantes who want to do a little bit of everything: milk cows, be in a play, travel, drive a tractor, and take care of kids. For instance, if the question is, does a communal life dull ambition? It does a little bit. But if your question is, does human desire to excel disappear absent extrinsic motivators? Twin Oaks has run a 53-year experiment on that question, and the answer is that it does not. Humans are motivated to excel just because of the desire to do something well, not due to pay or applause. Now, the way Twin Oaks does community allows some people to pursue their individual passions. But, really, the community does hinder some people pursuing their personal passions. In my personal opinion, that is kind of a problem. Within the communal structure it is remediable, and one of the issues that, personally, I'm trying to work on within Twin Oaks. This sort of all work is equal mindset seems to strongly benefit low skill workers compared to those with high value skill sets. What are the draws for someone who has a higher value skill set? The idea of higher and lower skill set is not the way this dude's community works. Everyone pitches in and invests time and labor. Even if you were a prize-winning neurosurgeon, you could use your medical knowledge sometimes, but your overall biological knowledge might come in handy panning for those new tofu pools they were building on their Instagram. Your work on that is just as valuable as the guy that graduated with a GED in the 80s that helped dig those pools by hand. If you want to be recognized and celebrated for your accomplishments, along with feeling like you are worth more than others because of only a certain type of skill, this place is not for you. If anything, this would be more of a hell than paradise. Places like this are where certain groups of people can give up certain liberties for a greater good that's spread to all. If you are not willing to live in a single room instead of your own house, be given a small allowance a month, eat what other people make for the entire group, and listen to what other people have say that was not previously asked for, you will feel tortured and smothered. I'm not against it, but it's definitely not my cup of tea. Bro, you made it to the end, you're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.